Alright, let's go ahead and get started. Wait, hold on here. I've noticed something. I'm still in ultra-wide mode. Hold on. Oh, also my game input's not working. Hold on. Technical difficulties. This is a lot. I was so distracted by the other technical difficulty I was having. I was so distracted by some other thing that I didn't immediately notice that the resolution was wrong. Also, the video input's not working. Hold on. Hey, Blood. We're just having some fun here with technical difficulties, as we do. Hence why I'm already starting late. Fuck. Hold on. It might be going down again. Why aren't you rendering? Hold on, we'll be back. Alright, we good? We're back? Everything working? So, I was doing some stuff in UE5, and I totally forgot that I switched over to my monitor's full ultra-wide mode. And I was wondering why OBS on my other machine was freaking the fuck out, because I totally forgot I was in ultra-wide mode. It was bugging me for like 15 minutes, that's why I delayed start. And I totally forgot that the display output wasn't even there, so I was like looking at the audio like, why is the audio not there? So I spent 15 minutes fixing and adding in the new audio channel, and then I launched the game, and then launched the stream and realized, oh shit, there's no video. Oh fuck, I'm on ultra-wide mode. Oh, that's why probably everything's broken. So I switched back to 1440p, and now everything's working. The story of my day. Anyway, welcome to the fixed stream of me realizing that my monitor was too wide at the time. The D-Day loadout? I don't think there was many Mauser C96s at D-Day. I will say, in regards to aesthetics, at least the MG34 looks okay. False prophet. False prophet. The C96 is a German pistol, yes, but like the typical pistol you think of for the German army is not the C96 for World War II. You think of the Luger. Like, yes, it is a German pistol. I would think if you said me like World War I German pistol, I would think of this. Nah, but if you told me like World War II pistol, I would think of Luger. It's kind of a shame there's not the 45 in here, right? An absolute shame. Let me go ahead and go private here. Like, how do you have all of these weird pistols and not have the classic 45? You can kind of just make the SOGs kind of like it, but it's not the same. I mean, that's all pistols, though. It's very rare that you were issued a sidearm. It wasn't like it was not common. What? No, hold on. No, you just can't change your mind all willy-nilly if I'm gonna humor you with your loadouts. We can run Vietnam later. It definitely does feel like the vibe though, right? In regards to like they have certain time spaces for vibes. Hey Mario. Do I really have that? That's all the 308 I have? That's... Hey Bunko baby, how much 308 you want to give me? That's 357 Magnum. There we go. I mean, if you want to, you certainly can. I'm not against talking about UE5. Alright, 9mm. 9mm. Where are you? Well, in a pistol, I imagine. There we go. There's no way we're gonna use that much ammo for this pistol. Let's bring a few drills. I want to hand drill so much. Well, I think we were just talking about the C96 and World War II pistols, mainly because we were talking about like the pistol loadout. And like the C96 doesn't really evoke a lot of like World War II pistol nostalgia for me. When I see the silhouette of this, I think World War I, not World War II. I'm sure it was still in perfectly fine use in World War II, but it's like not the quintessential German pistol you think of in World War II. It's probably the Luger. Well, let's start with the stairway. Oh my god, it's so cheap too. It is what the game has, though you are perfectly fair. I think you could just almost put anything in Bob and say healthier Asmongold.
I hate the surface.
I've seen... It's got an interesting art style. I didn't really look too much at gameplay, though. I think it already had like one of its gameplay tests, right, didn't it? Arc Raiders. Here, pitter patters. Little stuttery. This is probably shaders, though. I imagine fucking around with the UE5 is hell on your shaders. We need to come up here and get the shit. Yeah, that's only what caught my attention too, was like the art design and just the like the whole like ensemble it presents you. Yeah, I'm genuinely curious if it's gonna stick the landing in regards to the gameplay. It's just, I'm pretty sure it's like corely PvP, right? Where the fuck did they come from? Alright, there's our little book. Laptop. Yeah, it's just whenever... The problem is, like, you can kind of say the same way with, like, the Cycle Frontier had tons of potential. It's just this kind of curse of being a PvP game nowadays. In a way, too, right? It's just... on one aspect, it's the cheaters. Like, that's perfectly fair. On another aspect, too, it's just kind of like the nature of... It's very hard in the current day to have a much more casual PvP game that doesn't get, like, just naturally infested with sweats. I'm not saying being a sweaty player is a bad thing, but it seems like there's no refuge really for like a casual PvP crowd, right? Because just every game will have its dedicated core of just like uber elite PvPers. And a game like it depends, I guess, if they stratify them right, but like, or if there's any matchmaking, I guess, but like, you can't really do that in extraction shooter, I feel like, because it'll get gamed. Well, it's not even about style, right? Like, for the most part, and it doesn't mean it's necessarily bad, it's just that it means that, like, you kind of lose out of a casual PvP environment. Like, I don't I would perfectly be fine with playing PvP nowadays if it was much more casual. The problem is it's like this rat race, right? Where, like, if you want to be good and stay good, you have to constantly grind the game because it's what others are gonna do. And it feels like too. Well, yeah, it's in a way it's like SBMM too, also, but it's also just it's damned if you do, damned if you don't, really, right? But like, yeah, SBMM is, I guess, part of the issue too, right? In the sense of some games, if, say, for example, if you just naturally trend upwards, or like, SBMM does have this tendency to make every game feel super sweaty. I remember back in the day, right, in regards to, I used to play a bunch of like Source back in the day. It doesn't nux. It's purely aesthetic for now. There's no like functional melee system at all, really. It just looks cool. That's the name of the game, is it looks cool. No, I remember back in the day, right, with like more dedicated servers. I guess that's probably what like the actual issue is, right? Just like this trend toward a curtailed experience and not necessarily giving the community agency in their experiences. As in, because like I used to play a bunch of Counter-Strike back in the day, and like I did eventually navigate toward the more sweaty parts in my like latter teen years and early 20s. But like for a good period of my like lower teens and like mid-teens, I just spent time on community servers in Counter-Strike Source. And the beauty about that, right, is like I was never fantastic at Source, but like because I had a few servers I would frequent, right? Relative to those servers, I was fine and good, and like the games were fun and competitive because we were all around a certain skill level. But like we weren't pros or even close to being sweats, right? Because like if a sweaty joined the server, or for example, if I went to go play a 5v5 as opposed to playing just a casual community server, like I would generally get fucking wrecked. Like it's an entirely different classification once you go up that. What do you? Why are you in the wall? Entirely different like classification of players, right? But because we have these community servers, you could kind of almost enforce or just have this kind of like soft social contract where the people who are playing in that server tend toward this skill level, which can be like competitive casual. Yeah, it's a matchmaking issue, right? And like the problem is, I guess, with arc raiders, it's not arc raiders per se, but just kind of the genre as a whole of distraction shooters, where my god, it's just like the trailers. The problem with no, arc raiders as a whole, in the sense of it's part of that genre, right, where I think there's a good degree of the audience who are feeling exhausted, sort of, kind of, by this curtailed PvP experience. And I'm not saying there's a good solution to that particular game, but there does seem to be this trend, right, where there's so many games right now that just do not offer like community-driven experiences within the template of their game. Oh, the turret will help. Go, turret, go. With your floppy bullets. I'm just so how does that even happen with the floppy bullets, man? And how has it existed for so damn long? Utterly absurd. Yeah, like 100%, Mario. I would actually say like that's like very true, right? In regards to BRs. BRs were fun, but BRs were always sweaty, right? And they only got sweatier with time. Like if you wanted that experience, you could definitely find it in BRs. But it was nice too for a long while in BRs. I'm not sure how it is now, but like there was that great period, right, where just not everyone knew how to play the game effectively, and like there was, I'm not sure how well ratting still works in a game like that. Maybe it still does, I have no idea. I haven't watched PUBG in forever. It certainly isn't shooting bullets. And I will say it too, you see that, I guess, with a lot of extraction shooters now too, in a sense. They're all kind of realizing that there's a very large segment of their audience that was like, we don't really care for the PvP experience anymore. And on a level, it's partially because of the sweaty nature of it, but also because, like, yeah, like, it needs kind of a community experience to it, right? A social contract between other players. That's kind of what community servers did back in the day.
Keep your finger off the trigger. Hostiles nearby.
Hey, Paste. Oh yeah, I heard about that, right? In regards to Spain losing and Portugal losing power. It was nice actually seeing people just like chilling, just outside. Yeah, like, but that's the problem, Blood, right? In the sense of, I'm like one of those players who would like never probably go back to playing a game sweatily, just because of the time investment. But like, I wouldn't be against the concept of just a more casual PvP environment, right? Like a community server. It's sort of like, for example, like it's like literally any group game where you start to know the players in that group game on a much more personal level, in the sense of you start signing up a social contract. I mean, like, you can definitely blame streamers to some extent. I wouldn't say the blame solely relies upon them. They're definitely an element of it, but it's not solely them, but yeah. Yeah, like, for example, that squad's a great example, right? Where, you know, I'm sure there's the occasional cheater in squad, but because the community server, they're community servers and moderated, like, you kind of let them provide a curtailed experience too, right? I'm sure 7th Cavalry's around. They've always been fucking around in whatever game they actually play. But like, 7th Cavalry is a great example of that, right? Like a community clan. Yeah, in a way, like, all of these newer games, right, they just don't have that community around them, right? That, like, when was the last time you saw, like, a clan, I guess, for a video game? I guess you have, like, small groups for Tarkov, for, like, you know, forming pre-mades, but, like, I guess you get, like, what, 2 to 3 people, maybe 4 people with you? Maybe a few rotators, but that's really about it. But no, the Millstone crowd is a great, example of that. Yeah, for example, Armor, right? Yeah, like Armor was, once again, right, was like, it was all community servers. So like, you would join a server and get kind of, you would join their server, right, and eventually get like kind of, it was kind of like a tryout to see if you really like the community there, right? And yeah, just none of that nowadays. I'm not even sure how you do that in a game like Arc Raiders. But like, I definitely feel like there's a very giant niche being underserved of a multiplayer-oriented game that derives much of its enjoyment from not necessarily a bespoke experience, but from community servers. I get this strange sense. I'm supposed to use an M16 here. I mean, are they dead as a concept? What do you like? Dead in the sense that they're not being used, or dead in the sense that like they don't have any merit? This is just asking to get killed, by the way. There's no shot I survive if I go aggressive here. Absolute absurd. Yeah, well, in the sense of, it's not, I don't want to say, that's not like a game developer thing almost, it's almost more of a business decision, right? You can't like, when you say like, as a video developer, right, you go to like a C-suit or like an investor, right, and says, we want to have this community-driven game, right? It's like, how do you make money off of that? Well, they make their own servers and they play the game with their friends on those servers. So there's no real point where we can monetize that. Except for, I guess, skins, right? And like, there's that pushback, right? Like, you know, if we can provide a curtailed experience, right, you know, keep them in our system, our curtailed system, we can, you know, throw stuff at them to buy. And even Valve, too, is guilty of this also, right? Where the community servers have taken back nature to their actually, like, server browser. To browse servers in the new CS2, you have to, like, actually use, like, an out-of-client server browser. It's fucking insane. Yeah, they don't get made anymore, but, like, there is... They don't get made anymore, right? But it also raises this whole idea too, right? Because it's an underserved market, there's room for exploitation there, right? Also, did I have HUD on the entire time and no one told me? Shame. Just so many things today have been like right in front of me and I've just not noticed. I didn't notice my stream wasn't capturing video when I was looking at audio. I didn't notice that I had HUD on a no HUD mode video. Anyway. A lot of it's tied in a sense, a lot of it's too because of, yeah, for example, well, that's also a case for dedicated servers too, right? In the sense of, yeah, you don't have to, like, we don't have to host the servers, you can host the servers, right? It is a benefit of dedicated servers, is that, like, you know, games can persist after the company goes defunct or leaves the game. It feels like this metal is slightly just too thin. That it feels too... I'm not sure if it's still a work in progress. Like, it went from being like a gray texture to... It seems to have material now. But it definitely feels like a bit off still, where it feels either too thin or the material just looks not right for it. But it could just be, like, be halfway done still. I mean, keep in mind too, like Titanfall 2, yeah, poor Titanfall community got canned apparently recently. What are you? You'll get there eventually, friend. Oh, there's a grenade launcher there. Fuck that. No, kill stab is like how I get grenade launchered. What are you MREs? Warfighter recommended. Evansville, Indianapolis, government property. This has got to be an asset, right? Like a store-bought asset. That can't be right. No. Scav Girl, that was so much work to kill one guy. It's so extra. Ducks. I'm just saying, like, if you were stealth killing like a bunch of people, right? How tired would you get eventually doing that consistently? Oh really, Mario? Interesting. Is that why they're scaled misappropriately? It was just so fun. Inappropriately. Those look a bit right though. Those look actually pretty right. I need to like get into a room with their map designer and like hold their face next to the screen and say, why are you so cavalier with the scale button? If it wasn't everywhere, Third Eye Blind, I wouldn't mention it. Hold on. You can say tank scale. You can say tank scale, but hold on here. Wait a gosh darn second. Wait a gosh darn second. There's a degree of like, yeah, understanding that like, yeah, you can size different things differently in regards to like clutter to make it look right, but what's with the EXO that's like twice the size of a normal EXO? They're reckless. They have no sense of, they have no care for scale. Look at this monstrosity. What human is going to fit in this thing? Taking away their ability to scale things. When I hack into Fundog and remove their ability to, I'm locking their ability to scale things in UE5. No, it's not cool. There's rule of you know, I've said rule cool a few times here, but it feels like it's being twisted and turned maliciously. There's rule of cool, but rule of cool can't be a pass for everything. You can't at one step say the game feels disjointed in some aspects, then ignore the fact where it feels disjointed. There was a post on the Discord earlier today, or I guess yesterday, where regards to talking like how the game just feels like it has some issues in regards to gameplay, but like, it's the ensemble too, right? Like, there's a certain degree where like a lack of consistency can just kind of compound, right? Especially when it's everywhere. And it's not like, it's not just one thing too, right? It is an ensemble. Yeah, I was kind of referring to Dude's post, right, in regards to like that kind of thing, but like that's not, if it's not even Dude's post too, it is kind of just a trend in regards to the game as a whole, right? I don't mind reusing assets too here and there, but like, in a way, if their goal is to hide the reusing of assets by sizing the scale up and down, it it on terrain it feels fine, but like when you're using like actual things that exist in real life and have real scales like T90s, or like setting the scale of one thing, right? For example, it's not even Exos 2. The medium mechs are suffer the same problem too, right? Where they'll use medium mech props, but like they won't keep the sizing the same too. And it just feels weird. In a way, it like fucks with your headspace mentally, not like in a bad way, but in a sense of like, it's hard to feel small in a big world when the world's scale is always off kilter. Yeah, and that being said, like, I have no qualms with store-bought assets, right? Like, it's hard to get like enough assets in when you're a small team to actually matter, especially too when you have like small assets. Also, when you're mainly character artists and artists that like design big units and stuff like that, I imagine like you probably are bored designing small clutter pieces. I have no, like, this isn't a rant about me not liking like store-bought assets or like generic props for terrain. It's more in the sense of just respecting kind of the size and scale of things you set up in game. It's always this, it's like just like the guns too, right? When you use IRL products or IRL items, or if you, for example, if you set the tone of an item too, right? For example, by having it as being a unit in your game, like the Exos and medium mechs, you set an expectation of how those things function. And it feels weird when you break that. But like, it's mainly the ones that we know for sure. There's a theory the weapons are. I can't say, for example, if the weapons are 100% R or not. They might be, but they might not be. It's hard to tell. But like a lot of the clutter items generally are store-bought.
Zero fucks given.
I mean, maybe, but they're usually not that big. They're not big enough generally. I mean, they could. Who's to say they're not? They couldn't be. But for example, like one of the big assets here, for example, is these AB bug bags are store-bought. The QR code on there will take you to the website of the people who made it. So like, yeah, like a lot of the small clutter items are generally speaking, you know, asset bought. Once again, there's no shame in that too, right? Like, I imagine it's tedious and slow to design a bunch of small clutter for your game. And I will say, like, it, yeah. In a way, like, the saying of rule of cool isn't wrong, but like, it doesn't Bill Nye, but in a way, right? And this isn't really saying, like, they need to go back to the board and, like, oh no, redesign the clutter. But the overall impression, right, is that the game focuses much more on the overall feeling of the game and the overall, like, kind of, it focuses on a very general vibe. It doesn't focus on the specifics. And so as you play the game more and you get past the overall general vibe of the front of the world and start scrutinizing the aspects that make up that vibe, not a lot of them hold up, right? It kind of just starts collectively falling apart once you get past that veil. And some things, and it's not like one thing that does it right. It is like a death by 1,000 cuts. It's not just like the store-bought assets. It's not just the scale of certain units, right? It's not just the weapons, right? But like they all add up into essentially a bunch of cuts, right? And whether, you know, the game dies from those cuts is really up to the individual consumers, right? But there is a degree, I think, of tension there. And I don't want to say it's attention to detail either, because that saying attention to detail seems malicious, almost like they're saying, like, you know, they're not particular enough. It's just more in the sense of, like, actually, attention to detail feels like it's overlooked, but it almost feels somewhat purposeful, right? I actually haven't. I've been kind of busy a bit. If his case though is that the game does that, I kind of in a way want to be the not the what word, the critic of that, I guess, in the sense of I'm not sure. I haven't watched the video. I don't know what he says in it, so I can't speak. I can't say like what he says in it because I haven't watched it. But if his point is that this game hits it real hard, and the units, sure, but like it's much more than just the units, right? The environment, the overall specifics of the environment too matter a lot.
Don't leave anything on the cutting room floor.
Yeah, I saw that game on Steam, and it like I've heard it's getting rave reviews right now. I have no idea what it's about though at all. I just like I saw it on Steam, I saw some buzz around it, and I haven't looked at anything since then. I haven't played it, so I don't know. The art looks cool. I love that kind of nostalgia retro aesthetic to it. If I see a playtest, I might try it. Like, the problem is, though, is just, like, I'm so over PvP extraction shooters at this point in my life. Just so over them. It's just, like, it looks cool, but looking cool isn't really enough to, like, get it over the hump for me. And I kind of feel like that's the issue right now, right? Like, you have Arc Raiders, you have Marathon. They all kind of have a cool vibe to them. But, like...
Crush 'em.
Oh god, oh god. The anemic AK, I forgot how anemic the AK is. Alright, we're good. It genuinely feels like there's been a mistake in AAA recently. Not even AAA too, but just like there's a mistake I think going on right now where there's always ebbs and flows, right, in regards to this cycle where there's content that there seems to be this basically this cycle, right, during game development or the cycle of games coming out, where after a period of time, like, the games shift their focus much more on visual fidelity as opposed to gameplay. And that works for a while, like, oh man, this game has cool gameplay and cool fidelity, like, you know, it sells really well. But then, like, it seems to be misconstrued, where they start taking away that a good-looking game is what's more important than an interesting gameplay loop. And it seems that we're currently kind of in that cycle, right, where a lot of these kind of games are focused much more on providing interesting spectacle as opposed to compelling gameplay loops, thinking that just like the vibe or the kind of the chase of the extraction shooter will be enough for them. And I definitely do not think that's gonna get over the, like, I think they're gonna there's a reckoning, I feel like, in that regard, right? I don't think Arc Raiders or Marathon's going to do as well as they need to. And naturally, like, I don't want bad, like,
I've been waiting for this.
I never want anyone to lose their job, right, in the private sector, because that sucks in the current economy, right? Like, but like at the same time, I just can't. I look at this kind of trend going on. It's like, I just can't see where this doesn't end in regards to like financial failure and layoffs. It's not because I want that to happen, but because I just feel like it's going to happen.
All this gun.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say zero substance, but they're expecting just like the genre to do all of the work for them, right?
We started something.
Like in a way, they just saw like extraction shooters and be like, "Holy shit, my god!" From across the way, it feels like they're solely relying upon this new niche genre that's been out for way too long to be niche anymore or small or new, to do all the heavy lifting for them. I mean, like, I think vibes alone can carry a story. I mean, it depends too on like what you define by narrative, right? You can have narrative and story beat notes without telling a story, right? Like in a way, Tarkov does do that, and people do like Tarkov's lore. It's very generalized, but like it's interesting. Like Tarkov does a good job in regards to like not having an overall like narrative story, but still giving you feel like this narrative tone overall, right? I wouldn't go that, like, there's plenty of boomer shooters around Blood Panda too, though, right? And like, it's not like the simple solution, right, where we need to go back to X, Y, and Z, right? Or just like one thing fits all. It's more in the sense of like thinking or returning more to like coming up with interesting gameplay design, right, or elements, as opposed to just leaning upon a genre, right? And you can certainly feel free to do that, but at a certain extent, right, it feels like we're almost in the end game of that, right? Where almost every genre has been so well explored right now that it's really the novelty that sells, as opposed to the highly kind of tailored experiences of known genres. At least in more like kind of, in a way, like the RTS, right? Like the RTS is so well known at this point that like people, if they see RTS, they kind of know what to expect now and just won't sign on. And so if you just make a if you just make an RTS game and stamp your own aesthetic onto it, there will naturally be people, right, who are interested in that aesthetic and that like RTS that will sign on to it. But there are so many people, because they know you're just making it, you know, RTS game, aren't going to sign on to that experience because you're not offering them anything novel, right? And at its core, that's okay, but like, if you're some company who is trying to like swing for the fences and make it like a real banger game, there's a kind of a danger in relying upon conventional things like that, right? When it comes to exhaustion. And no. Yeah, Subcom 2 and like SC2, right, StarCraft 2 are definitely both RTSs, but very different kind of, on a macro scale, right? Very different. In a way too, Subcom was like almost like an answer to those kind of RTSs also. Like, yeah, the old CNCs and the StarCrafts, right? It was like a, let's explore the RTS in a much grander space, right? And like, for example, that's finding a genre and then like figuring out some gameplay niche or some gameplay element that's not been fully explored yet, and then using that as the basis for your game, right? Like, in a way, like, that's how I feel like you should approach extraction shooters as a developer wanting to make one, in the sense of, look what Subcom is to RTSs, and figure out what can you do to the genre that would kind of be equivalent to, like, the Subcom for RTSs, right? Where it's at the very bones, yes, you are a unit management game, you are an economy game, but like you add a sense of, you know, massive scale to it, right? You make the main point the scale of the conflict you're fighting in. Yeah, no, Blood, that's a very common trope for a while now. Like, so the original, I believe, I want to say, we do not mention Subcom 2 here. Fuck Square Enix. Square Enix deserves the shitty reputation it has. Fuck Square Enix. Anyway, the original game, I believe, that came up with that kind of paradigm, Blood, was called Natural Selection. Natural Selection fucking banged. If you're unfamiliar with Natural Selection, now it was originally just a mod for Half-Life. And it was basically made by, if I understand the history correctly, right? Natural Selection was a mod for Half-Life 1, or Half-Life multiplayer, basically, right? RTS, FPS hybrid, and it was the founders of Unknown Worlds. If you're unfamiliar with Unknown Worlds, I'll tell you a little game they made, Subnautica. Now, Natural Selection 2, I don't mention Endless 2 very much because it didn't do very well. It had its own issues. They designed their own engine. I actually fucked around with the engine quite a bit in regards to making maps. It was a really cool engine, but like, it never got the traction it needed, right? Unfortunately. And I played it too. I didn't really stick with it either too. It had a lot of issues, I feel like, but there was just a bit too much friction in the game, I feel like. But anyway, that's a different point entirely. NS2 is very old at this point. But no, like Natural Selection 1 was like the first game in kind of that RTS FPS hybrid. Then you had 2, and you have like, I think what's it called, Silica? You have Silica now being made. That's that same kind of paradigm.
Looks weird.
What are you referring to then, Blood, actually? If you're not talking about like NS1. Because like when you say FPS RTS hybrid, that's where my mind goes immediately, but if you mean something else, elaborate. I mean, so Arma 3, I think Arma 3 had it. Arma 3 had a mode, right? So if you're unfamiliar with Arma, Arma's a military sim. And it does a good job too of basically providing mission editors, and like basically you can essentially create your own content in Arma, right? And you can do some like light scripting like via Lua and Arma. And in Arma 3, they did provide a mode where you can almost have basically a DM, a player who's in charge of the world or the events going on in real time against players. So essentially you had an artificial DM, right? Or a real DM, but like in a virtual space. That's kind of aligned with that a little bit. I don't think there's a, like, I mean, there's been games, right, where you have, like, you know, one player versus multiple players. Like, you can say Evolve was that. Man, fucking Turtle Rock. I mean, Helldivers 2 doesn't have a, I mean, you can kind of view Joel in that light, but Joel is a very meta, right? This is much more like an individual scale, right, Jay? In regards to, like, when you're playing the game, that person is directly interacting with you. I mean, Joel does it on a very meta level, but yeah. But like, for the same reason there's not community servers is the same reason you don't really see that kind of setup too, right? In regards to having, like, an individual player providing experience for sub-players, essentially. That's much more of a community-driven experience, and you can't monetize that, generally speaking. I mean, in a way you could. I mean, for those unfamiliar, there is a giant market in D&D for paid DMs. Personally, my games are my game. I get weird when I start charging money for things, and it just changes the relationship I have, right, with the players I play with. Where it's no longer that we're just having this like friendly experience together. It's now that I am providing you experience for money. And like, there is technically a market there, right? Where I'm sure if I don't get strictly professional Mario, but like, there is definitely a vibe change, right, Mario, in regards to that. It's I don't try and have it, but it's very, very sort of subconscious to a degree, right? But going back to that point, right, it does feel like potentially there is like a potential where if you design a game around having like DMs provide curtailed experiences in your game, you could maybe rake off that. It would be a very, very weird system. Like, it would probably work, but like, it would require a lot of buy-in, I feel like. I would be interested in what that system would look like. The business side is the easier part, right? The more interesting side in regards to like what game would fit that very well. To elucidate a bit, right? Essentially a game or a system, right? Where essentially, yeah, you have players, and then you have, you know, game masters, if you will. And not just D&D, right? But like, essentially you have some virtual game where you, as opposed to an AI director that's behind the scenes, you essentially have game masters who run the game instead, right? And they provide curtailed experiences to players, and you set up a system on top of that, right? Where those basically those GMs, those game masters, those real people intelligences can charge for those services, right? And the reason why I say, why do you need to charge? I'm trying to view this in the light of, if I'm an investor doing something I'm okay with for monetization, right? Like, how do you get an investor on board, right? How do you go to an investor and say, like, you know, we have this cool idea, but like, how are we going to monetize it? The question of should it be monetized is a different story entirely, but like, when you're a game company, you gotta make money, right? You gotta pay people. Game devs are not free. I mean, Sky, you're not really paying for the module though, too, right? Because like, there are plenty of DMs who will provide curtailed experiences outside of modules. There are plenty of people too, right, who will just like be paid DMs and they'll run you through modules. But there are also plenty of DMs too, right, who will just like run you through a world, or like take your character backgrounds as the basis for the story, so on and so forth. And there are also another too, like, where that could also be part of your experience too, right? Where like, as opposed to just paying for a DM, right? You could also have those DMs just make content for that game, right? That's kind of what essentially like Bethesda's always tried to do, right? Bethesda's always been trying to get this off, like, Bethesda has so ill, like, people do not trust Bethesda. Well, I should just fucking say it right, Bethesda. People don't trust Bethesda because they've been like, they're like the ones who came out with DLC, right? The horse skin back in the day for Oblivion. But like they've been trying to make this thing like a thing for a while, right? Where they have this store where you can do paid mods essentially, and they get their rake, and it just never taken off. Yeah, I mean, I've given, I think my last game for them is gonna be Starfield. I gave it a solid try. I think I'm off the buy any game from them anymore trade. Ego, I have bad news. This is definitely a stream as me as a person where everything gets overthought. That's just how it's gonna be. Yeah, but like that's like any games too, right? If you're working for a AAA developer, like you should be asking for AAA money. If you want to go make your passion project, yeah, go indie and go make your passion project and make, you know, potentially no money. Like that is the exact chase of being a game developer and working for AAA. Is, you know, you want to have the security and money of AAA, right? You could potentially make more money on indie if you get real lucky, but it's a lot more uncertain. Dune Awakening, I just don't trust Funcom. Just, you can see this overall trend here, right? Of lack of trust. And I will say, it's deserved, right? It's not just like, I don't vibe with them so I don't trust them, it's, they have shown me what they do, and so I do not trust them. Yeah, like, you know, for example, Original Lethal Company Ego. Yeah, I'm about Starfield because I always like sci-fi games. I was like, I'll give it a good solid try. And I'm like, this is just Skyrim with a space skin. So no, I'm off the Bethesda trade for a very long time. And like, they're the exact type of company now who would need to, like, for example, show me a very new experience, a new gameplay loop to ever get me to sign on, right? Kind of, you know, going full circle with our talks earlier in regards to, like, it can't just be aesthetics and vibe, it needs to have some actual gameplay substance to me that looks unique. Yeah, I mean, I don't fault any game developer who works for AAA, right? Like, that's not what, like, the intent of what I was saying. It's more in the sense of there is comfort working for like, corporation, right? Knowing that you have benefits and job security to some extent, right? I mean, like, I kind of sign on to the fact that whenever I play a Bethesda game, it's gonna have bugs. But it's more in the sense that, like, it just felt so generic, right? It didn't feel like it had any soul behind it. And, like, for example, this game feels like it has a lot of soul behind its art direction, but it doesn't feel like it has, like... This game feels like, for example, right, we're like, oh man, like, let's show them this cool stuff. Let's, like, have these cool units. Let's have all these cool items here and there, right? But, like, it doesn't feel, as of right now, they've had a moment in regards to gameplay design where, like, this sounds really cool from a gameplay perspective. Let's include that. It doesn't feel like there's been any of that, right, in regards to gameplay. It's all felt in the sense of just generic extraction shooter.exe. And if it's just supposed to be a medium to deliver the art, that's one thing, but, like, that's, in a way, I think not enough in the current day and age, right? Or at least in the current cycles of extraction shooters, right? Where it just feels like it needs that extra edge to get over the hump gameplay-wise. Weren't they just a publisher, though? Michael? I think they're just a publisher, right? I think I had Flames of Disruption. Yeah, it's perfectly fair, Bill Nye. Like, yeah, not trusting Bungie right now is perfectly fair, considering quite a few scandals they've gone through.
Not enough bullets.
Personally, for me, I would give them a lot more goodwill, but now considering they're under the umbrella of Sony, not so much. Like, if Bungie was still independent, I would be much more interested in Marathon, but because they have the, you know, Sony turning the screw of monetization, not so much anymore. Hawk L? I'm not from, I mean, Hawk N? I mean, in regards to, like, giant corporations, I don't mind Sony all that much. I don't feel safe here. I don't feel safe here. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Sony. In regards to some corporations, though, I don't mind them that. But yeah, no, Hawken. I saw Hawken, but like, I'm not a mech fanboy, and so Hawken never interested me really. Like, it looks cool, but like, it never was like, this looks interesting enough for me to get into. And to be fair, that kind of seemed like the broader sentiment too, right? Mechs are not just a big enough selling point by itself. Otherwise, Mech Warrior would be a giant IP at this point. And it was back in the day, right? Mech Warrior was like one of the bigger IPs in the far eons ago of PC gaming. But like, it's... people just aren't interested in mechs. That's not to say that there are some people interested in mechs, but like as a, you know, as a whole... What are you doing in here? Yeah. Alright, we're gonna use the less common way out, I guess, because the other way just seems to be not great.
They must be cut down.
Yeah, but remember too, Titanfall wasn't only a mech game. Titanfall was an FPS with mechs, right? It did not solely rely upon just its mechs to carry the game.
Nothing to be done.
In a way, right? Like, Titanfall originally took the whole idea of mechs and was like, hey, how do we subcom this, right? That's kind of what we're waiting for in extraction shooters, right? For some company to come around and be like, hey, you know, from a gameplay perspective, right? We're going to have the core idea of, like, the core concept, the core vibe behind this game, like RTSs or shooters in regards to Titanfall, or mechs in regards to Titanfall, and then, like, we're going to shift it in some gameplay way, right?
Onto this feeling.
It's not influential, but it's just a good example of, like, it's a great example of, like, during that time, it was just a lot of Command and Conquer clones, right? It was just Command and Conquer clone, Command and Conquer clone. Like, it was all small scale RTSs, right? And it was the first one to kind of like, this is still an RTS, but you know, our gimmick, our thing, right, is these vast battles, this giant scale, to like have you, you know, control as opposed to a small little theater of war. In a way, it took a very popular genre at the time, the RTS genre, and like did a new niche in it very well. And like it had the skeleton of an RTS, but none of its mechanics were like of a traditional RTS, right? As opposed to, you know, collecting resources and stockpiling them. You had that, but you had this in and out economy, right? Where like it wasn't necessarily about just stockpiling resources and spending them. It was about having an income to your economy and an outflow of your economy, right? It is an RTS, but like it is very different from that too, right? It explored outside the skeleton of the genre. And Square Enix ruined it. God damn you, Square Enix. I'm really happy I was never into Final Fantasy. Otherwise, I'd be torn. Absolutely torn. Yeah, that's the problem too, right? I was never that big into mechs. Like, I played the Battletech game. If I see a mech game, I'll be like, cool. And that mech game has interesting gameplay loops, I'll be like, alright, I'll try it out. But very rarely will a mech game explore the space outside of just being a mech game. That's perfectly fair too, right? But like, that means there's definitely people in the audience like me who will not get over the hump to buy it or, you know, try it out because of that. Subcom is great. There is a few, like, it mostly runs well. There are like a few instances where you might need to mod something in here and there, but it's pretty simple stuff. I replayed the campaigns for both Subcom and Next Expansion like a year or two ago, and it was great. Like, they're still just great experiences. It's fun too, right? Because like, you can speedrun and go fast on those missions, but like the missions, right, are like missions that take you like potentially an hour or two to do, right? It's nice to be immersed in that experience, that like a single mission for that long. All right, Caliber. Alright, let's just do those two. Yeah, there's Forge Alliance Forever, which is like basically the community-driven arm of Subcom multiplayer now. And there's also Beyond All Reason, which, like, I've looked at, it just, like, there's just some tension, right, of, like, getting into a game like that doesn't have a story yet. And being, like, the only experience to play through is, like, skirmishes or with other players. It feels like it requires some buy-in. That's interesting to get blood, like, and it, like, that's the nice thing about, like, having a story-driven narrative that has lots of missions and content, is that you never really felt like you needed to get crazy good at like the economy, at least not to a multiplayer standard. You're there. Yeah, it's more a critique on Beyond a Reason than Forge Alliance Forever. And like, that's technically the big sin about Subcom 2 and Square Enix, is Subcom 2 took what was special about the formula of Subcom 1 and then just made it another CNC clone. You pieces of shit at Square Enix. You massacred my boy. You fiends. And like, in a way, right, that's a perfect example of C-Suits not understanding what makes a game special. Like, it being different from the market there was what made it do well. I'm just gonna blank that from my memory, Sky Cave. It's perfectly fine though. If you enjoyed it, you enjoyed it. I personally did not.
Work our way
I
through.
played the demo and I was like, what the fuck was this? Yeah, guilty. Quite fair, quite fair. Guilty pleasure. Something you shouldn't enjoy, but enjoy. What's my guilty pleasure for a game that's bad, but I actually enjoy? I mean, considering... No, I wouldn't say actually... No, I wouldn't say that, honestly. Not that game. What's a game that I enjoyed that was not well revered?
Gives us an actual chance.
Huh. I mean, in a word, I could probably say New World, but like, it was definitely one of those games where I hated it when I, like, it's one of those games, right, where you play it because there's nothing that exists like it, and you hate it because it could be so much better if there was actual competition. Like, at its core, its core combat was not that bad. It needed a lot of extra work for balancing, but like, the action combat of New World was really cool. It just had so many fucking issues on top of it, right? Where like you had to put blinders on yourself not to see them. Baby, please. Hey, Chopper, stop, please. But no, I guess like, but like it's not a game I go, like, it's hard to say too, because like, it wasn't really guilty pleasure. It was just like something I did at the time. Like, guilty pleasure gives me the idea that I would go back to it to like actually play it again. And I can't say that'd be the case with New World, right? What's like a bad game I would go back to play just because of the vibe of it? Now I'm torn. I'm kind of curious what the case is here. What's a bad game I've gone back to recently? Or it doesn't need to be bad, but like not universally renowned, I guess. What game could that be? I'm trying not to pull up my Steam library too, because that feels like cheating. If I can't recall it just like off the cuff of like just my memory, is that really like a guilty pleasure at that point, or is me trying to force one? I definitely feel like there's been bad games that I've enjoyed. There's definitely, I definitely feel like there's one in my repertoire. I just can't recall it right now. It'll come to me. I haven't been playing like many very like diverse games recently, so it's probably a case or factor too into it. No, let's not do high nav comp. I'll just do those two, that's fine. We got our pack mule. Let's go use the Vipper for a bit. Oh man, Crimson Skies, I definitely feel like we've not had a good steampunk game in a while. And Crimson Skies wasn't purely steampunk. It had Crimson Skies was a great aesthetic. It was like a steampunk, diesel punk sort of vibe. But no, I miss Crimson Skies too. It wasn't, I don't want to say just pure diesel punk though. It was diesel punk, but it wasn't pure diesel punk. Yeah, deco punk I guess is the word for it. It wasn't like a pure diesel punk. When I think of diesel punk, I think of High Fleet. Or for example, the newer renditions of Wolfenstein, right? Like, it definitely has elements of that, but it's not pure diesel punk. At least in my opinion. All right, some 387. Let's bring a jump, why not? We have our ammo, we have our R8. Hey, Gumi. It's hard to even say what game would be steampunk at this point. We've had you wouldn't really consider BioShock had elements of steampunk, but it was not steampunk. It's hard to actually point to a steampunk game recently because it's just so few and far between. Yeah, that's the general trend, Chris, is over the period since launch, the game is in a better spot. It's still got plenty of ways to go, but overall, yeah, it's in a better spot for sure. Guns of Icarus looked interesting, it just never got me over the hump of getting into it. No, I wouldn't say BioShock feels like diesel punk to me. I can definitely see that being the case with all the metal around, considering we're underground, but it was definitely its own, it was definitely its own kind of punk, right? It had elements of different types of punk. Yeah, that's kind of how I critique, when I critique maps, I can't critique the aesthetic of the map. Because overall, all the maps look pretty cool. Some are better than others. But Frozen's, Stairway has the massive issue, right? Where it's just... Stairway, you can't come to me and say that they blocked out Stairway from a gameplay perspective and we're like, this is fun gameplay. It felt like a map where they were going for a vibe and an aesthetic, and they did not give a shit about the actual experience playing it. If you blocked out and prototyped Stairway and played it and was like, this is fun, there's no fucking way. I don't believe you. You're gaslighting me. There is absolutely no way that Stairway made it through prototyping, and this was this is a fun experience. I mean, here's the thing. Coming from Counter-Strike and coming from games where the actual flow of the map and how it plays as opposed to aesthetics is insanely important, Stairway is a very bad map. Sorry, not sorry. And like, I made the point in the video too, right? Like, if it's supposed to just be an aesthetic map, fine, okay, I concede my point. It's supposed to be an aesthetic map and that's it, right? But I make the point in the video too, please let this be the only case. Like, you cannot have a lot of your repertoire of maps be under just gameplay considerations thrown out the window. I disagree. Michael, for aesthetically, Stairway is a cool map. Gameplay-wise, Stairway is awful. Naturally, you know, everyone can have their opinions on that. But go play Stairway 10 times and go talk to me about how it feels. Also, different people, Michael, are gonna have different experiences in regards to, like, playing the same content over and over. Like, keep in mind, when you're grinding the game for like 10, 20, 30 hours and you're okay with doing that, you are, I would say, not the majority of players who get fatigue when they're doing the same content over and over and over again in the same way. There's definitely a perspective to understand there. Like, definitely understand that, like, you know, if you enjoy playing this game for, you know, 20 hours a week since launch, you've been doing it, if you have 300, 400, 500 hours in it, and it feels, you still love it, that's great and all. That's perfect. Where are my fucking cyborgs at? Did they remove the spawn of cyborgs in here? Those feeds. That's perfectly fair though, Michael, but like at the same time, like I would say you're in the minority in regards to people who are okay with playing very cyclical content. I mean, personally, my main critique is this, right? When I play a game, I want that game to ask me questions, right? I want the game to make me make choices. I have never felt a single thought of choice on that map. And like, it's one thing to be offered the choice and take the same path over and over again, but like to never be offered that choice in the first place? Where my cyborgs at, though? Actually, I mean, if they remove the infinite spawn here for cyborgs, there's the other one. I mean, it comes down, for example, like, why do you play games? Some people play for the aesthetic or the vibe, right? But like, I like in like gauging in gameplay systems, right, and exploring those systems, right, and ultimately making choices in those systems. And Stairway is a map, right, where it's pure vibes, which is fine, but like it offers no choice. There's no meaningful agency in that map. But here's the thing with Scrapyard, though, right? Scrapyard, despite its size, actually offers you meaningful choices. Now, like, it's not that vast, don't get me wrong, like, it's not a lot of choices, but, like, it asks you, right? Do you want to go up or down? Do you want to go to the left or right and go around, like, nooks and crannies that actually have meaningful impacts? Like, there's really none of that on Stairway. There's no side channels, there's no side passes, slightly, there's no stealth gameplay on the map. It's just go up and down the staircase. And like, that's why Scrapyard is ranked higher than the map, because it offers like, a actually bespoke experience, different from other maps, and actually offers you a few different paths to choose, right? Do you want to go straight down the center and guns blazing? Do you want to go up to the left and around or sneak around? Do you want to go a little bit forward to the left or right sides and like sneak around that way too? Like, despite its size, Scrapyard does offer you a degree of choices. Where the hell are my cyborgs at? You're telling me I pick up 2 cyborg quests and just none of them are here? Where the hell are the cyborgs? Stairway. No, sorry, not the stairway. Oh no. You and me, it's Frozen Swamp. Where the hell are all the cyborgs at? I came here to kill cyborgs and there's no cyborgs. Yeah, Freudian slip, yeah, for sure. I actually have a shrine to Stairway in my closet of just pictures of Stairway that I worship. It's Blood Panda's got it all wrong. It's not Rat King who's God or Jesus. It's the map Stairway. It literally, you climb it to heaven. What could be more godlike than that? I just exist here to just do blasphemy now. In regards to the Rat King. Sure, Sky Cave. He's not hostile at all. He's scav friendly, at least he should be. Praying does nothing. I'm still waiting for an instance where Blood Panda provides me with evidence of praying does anything. Okay, well that's not good. Maybe it's time to leave. I have some shotgun shells with your name on it. Wait, I'm fucking old man. Holy shit, I gotta run. I'm not Mass Man. I thought I was Mass Man for a second. I do get one shot by dog. Now, where did dog go? I have no fucking idea, but it's not on my ass right now, which works. 100% beep beep. Is what a bug. Typically speaking, if HKs can't path to you properly, they will sometimes queue as opposed to spawn. It's a weird bug. It doesn't happen all the time, but like on this map, there's a few spots where it will happen where until you leave that area, the HKs are just queued. So, Bougie, it's any character above 2k HP. So your default gunhead or high prestige massmans or bagmans.
Not bad.
So if you want to avoid getting one shot by the dog, play a high prestige massman, play a medium prestige bagman, or play gunhead. Like if you, for example, play gunhead, right? Unbelievable. If we play gunhead and go to, like, for example, this map. Gunhead, for example, because he starts with above 2k HP, just will not get one shot by dog. I think it's 1k, it's a lot. Essentially, if you get swiped once, you'll be in one shot range, but after he swipes, you'll run away. And, you'll run away for a bit. No, both Bagman and Mazon have that issue. It's this weird alignment with their guns right now, where they just jump to the left and right. And I think it's how they're manipulating the camera, perhaps? I don't know. It's weird. Mr. Doggo. And it happens with Bagman too, actually. Bagman has the same exact issue. I think it's to the right instead of the left, but like, no, for Bagman and Maskman, it both happens to them. Dog? What the fuck? Dog? Hello? Hello? What the hell? Dog? Fido. Fido. Oh, is he busy murdering people? Oh, hey. Who's a good boy? Alright. Well. I guess you guys gonna have fun. But no, yeah, like once you're above a 2k character HP, like sorry, fucking English is so hard today, man. As you could probably tell, once you're above 2k HP on a certain character, the dog is essentially a joke until you fall below that threshold. Like, if you ever want to break the facade of the scary dog, just play Gunhead for a couple runs.
We have no munitions to remove the threat.
Did we, though? I brought no ammo, Gunhead. It is May. Time does fly tomorrow. Not only tomorrow, but you know what I mean. So, Nelshimi, it depends. If you have the quest called, what's it called? God. There's a quest for killing cyborgs and cyborg leaders down here. When you have that quest, the spawns get crazy. What's that quest called again? I'm trying to think of it. I'm trying to, like, I can't remember the quest name. Hold on here. There's a certain quest where essentially you get a bunch of cyborgs and then like a cyborg like handler, if you will. And like when you kill them, when you have that quest, they're like infinitely respawning and they respawn immediately when they die. So it's kind of endless. So when you have that quest, it turns Cemetery into like a shooting gallery. Oh yeah, at a few of the extracts, yeah, Pack Leader, yeah. Yeah, there's a few spots on Frozen Swamp too like that too, where there'll be cyborg spawns. You just can't run to the extract. You have to kill a few people around it. I mean, they kind of still do that though. Some maps are worse than others, but like, there's still plenty of instances where, like an Elephant Mausoleum, where HKs will spawn like behind a wall. Go play Elephant Mausoleum. It's real bad on Mausoleum. That was the entirety of like last stream, I think, or 2 streams ago. of just getting absolute rolled by HK spawning constantly behind cover. Okay, that's fair. To each their own then. Is it darker in here? Oh, it's night shift, Like, don't get me wrong, HKs are better than launch. Like, that's a given, right? But HKs still have plenty of possibilities of being obnoxious as shit.
Under fire from multiple vectors. Seek cover.
Yeah, like it's night and day difference in comparison to like launch, right? If you're comparing directly to launch, it's way better. But like in regards to like them still, like when I can kill an EOD HK, right? And not 15 seconds later, one is already shooting me again. It feels a bit wrong. Yeah, so the pack leader quest is like, essentially when you have the pack leader quest, it respawns guys over here, on the other side of the sewers over there, and yeah, behind here. And the problem is like with the pack leaders, once you kill those units, that squad, they will immediately respawn. So you can kind of get stuck into this cycle of just like endlessly killing cyborgs. Which don't get me wrong, I really like the quest a lot because I like that kind of mixed unit kind of doctrine. But very aggressive respawns.
And to dust, we shall return.
All right, let's go. Let's go attempt belligerence. All right, and then we do want a good gun. Yeah, we can do RPK. There's definitely an element right now where there's been quite a few solo players who have been upset by the recent patch. And I feel like there needs to be some perspective, right? Typically speaking, in games, you don't see like bi-monthly content patches. And so, in lieu of like waiting for large amounts of content to drop together, they are giving us more piecemeal content as time goes on. It's just different approaches, right? The downside being is sometimes a patch will come out with these small pieces of content, and the content might not be for you. And that's okay. The sky is not falling. Like, for example, I generally don't play in groups, so overall the railgun is not for me. And that's fine. It's perfectly okay to be the case. It does not mean the sky is falling or that they have abandoned solo players. And vice versa, right? Say, for example, next patch, we see a more solo-oriented patch, right? Doesn't mean they're abandoning co-op either. Just stuff needs to cook.
Let's roll out. Got a ton of work before we sleep.
I will say, Bagman's voice on this skin does sound very weird. I mean, Michael, it's about not the quest line, it's about the actual railgun, right? I don't mind the skin, Reiji. I just don't like the rig on him. The rig doesn't really work with his visual identity, I feel like, or visual palette, it feels like. Like, I like the skin. I do not like how the rig meshes with the skin. Yeah, he needs a fancy rig. He needs just some aesthetic to his rig, basically, right?
Easy, guys. How many targets? Might not be worth it.
Yeah, Shaman's the same way, right? Shaman has issues with their rigs. I will say too, right? That's kind of like also why I think I can understand the critiques of paid skin DLCs, except for like they're not taking in the perspective of the fact is you can just mod in your own skins to this game, right?
Watch those firing arcs. Keep it focused.
Alright, so what we came here for is to murder the shit out of some exos. Is this just like taunt me day? Everywhere where I've gone to expect a certain unit, they have not been there. Went to the Titan on National Mesa, no crawlers. Went to the hangar on Alpha Mausoleum, no exos. I am being cheated. Are there no medium mechs here either? What the hell, game? No cyborgs, no medium mechs, no exos. There was that one exo on the trench line though. I was big game hunting, and there's no big game. It's still really weird, by the way. Just like the lack of movement. I mean, I still like the game. Naturally, I'm always gonna critique it too, right? I critique every game I play, though. That's the thing, right? No game is safe from scrutiny. But no, if I didn't like the game, I wouldn't be playing it still. Keep in mind, I do YouTube for fun because I enjoy it. It's not my main source of revenue. If I didn't enjoy this, I would stop. Now you show up. I wonder. Maybe they just change it where you don't trigger the HK, the spawn anymore if you're back there. But maybe because we killed the pilots, or the what's it called? Hold on, words are coming to my head. The drones. There we go. Well, it's. Yeah, also, it's also not just like that Sky KG, it's also seeing if they can deliver on the promise or deliver on the idea too, right? It wouldn't be the first EA game I see fail. Not that I want it to fail, but it wouldn't be the first. Or not, like, fail is probably the wrong word too, but just like, I would say miss the mark.
Marshall's court. They might be flanking.
Now, if I was a bunch of loot containers, where would I be? There's probably a few. Where the hell did you come from? What the? That thing just teleport? What a shot. There's probably a few, right? Well, there's so many different EA games. I generally hope that EA games do well, right? It's always a nice thing when, like, the biggest thing, Ray, is like when big companies see EA, like, early access success, right? It generally means some of those concepts get picked up by those developers, or they're more amenable to having gameplay elements like that in their games. And I think that's a giant W, right? In a way, if we can loosen up those AAA companies to having, like, interesting mechanics in their games, they might be more willing to explore the space. That's probably me on copium, but it is what it is. Any more money? Ah. The key word there, any more money. I mean, I will say though, at least Sky Cave now, like, you can just play the game and just collect money now and buy ships. So you can take your Avenger Titan and actually, like, go get ships in game now. So we just killed this EOD here, and then there was another one right over here. Now, I think it got stuck though, which is a saving grace, but like, it did respawn right there, would have shot us. Yeah, but like, I would say for like the longest time to Sky Cave, you couldn't actually like play Star Citizen, accumulate money, and then like buy a ship in game and keep it for a long period of time. That's like no longer the case. It's just like once you can go buy a ship in game now with credits you earn in game, and keep that ship for like, if not forever, for a very long time now, right? Because of persistence. I've bought a few like ships. I haven't played in like a hot second. I'm kind of like, it's one of those games, right, where I just come back every like year or two and see what's changed. And 4.0 has been great so far, right? It's been naturally very buggy and bumpy, but like on a gameplay level, yeah. Like the gameplay loops are fun. That's a very important aspect of it, right? Now, I kind of came here to kill EMX, but I guess that wasn't the case today. Oh well. What are you doing here? Sorry, friend.
That warm, fuzzy.
Oh no, elevators were like one. Hey, Captain. Elevators were like one of the biggest issues in regards to the 4.0's lodge. They were comically bad because they were basically used as a loading zone between different areas, and like they would always just break. I think they've mostly been fixed now, but like, yeah, for 4.0 they were like the biggest issue for a very long time. It essentially, like, half of the issue with Star Citizen 4.0 was like getting into space, and once you were there you were good. Like, you were mostly good. But like, whenever you went back to a hub area, it was real bad. Because you never knew when you would get trapped by an elevator. They added in a new mining vehicle. They actually they finally added in like entry-level industrial. and I haven't played since it came out, but like, there was a missing piece in the industrial loop so far of like having an entry-level vehicle for mining and salvaging, and like they're both in the game now, right? Now I will say, like, industry is still missing in Star Citizen, mainly because you can't like refine materials yet by yourself. But it's getting there. If they can get to the, like, I know they want to do base building too. Oh, the Vulture is a good Zen ship, right? Like, if you're just trying to vibe and just like listen like to a podcast or like watch some TV show and you just want to do something mindless while you're kind of doing that, the Vulture is great, right? Like, it's just one of those like chill kind of tasks you do, and it makes you decent money too. Like, if you like that kind of gameplay, you can just like, you can basically chill in an area that has good security too, and make plenty of money. Yeah, it's not too expensive in game, I think. It's like, I want to say 2 point. Well, I can't say. I think they changed economies or costs recently, but it was pretty affordable in game. Now, naturally, with an Avenger, it would take you a while, but like, it's definitely within, like, it's not ludicrous. It's not like trying to farm a Connie with an Avenger, right? It's still 2.7. Yeah, 2.7 is great. Like, that is definitely, like, it will take you a decent while in Avenger, but it won't be that bad. What guns do we want to use? I've used a P90 in forever, why not? P90 and... Why would I ever use any of these? $14,000 rounds of 5.7. That's a lot of IRL money, man. 5.7 millimeters is not cheap. I have ammo, have meds. Bring a few more meds in. Yeah, it's a solid ship. My only problem, right, is it does have a very low HP pool. So, like, it just gets basically... if it gets hit, it gets obliterated, right? In a way, that just comes from me, like, using my crutch of a Starlancer, the Sky Bus, of just, like, pointing and clicking. There is some flying necessary for the Starlancer, but, like, it's very much just pointing and clicking with that damn thing. It's just DPS checks. Oh, the OG freelancers are the worst. They're so due for an overhaul.
This is it. We decide what happens next.
The new animations of this gun look pretty good, actually, I will say. They were rough for a while. No, actually, it's a shame. I actually really like the animations on this gun now. They look pretty good. The only problem is it's just kind of a shit gun. Yeah, Michael, 5.7's always been a very expensive gun to run. Naturally, because FN just charges you the FN tax, but also because of, yeah, 5.7 millimeter is a very expensive round. Oh no. I mean, like, to each their own. Like, there's definitely different, people naturally are going to prefer different methods of recoil. I kind of... Now, I do not care for a game that requires you to control the entire recoil animation, but like, I do think like there should be at least a little bit, right? Like, say like the first like 10, 15 rounds of a magazine, maybe 20 rounds, like actually do not have a recoil pattern, but actually have recoil you need to control, right? Where it kind of asks you to, you know, pull your mouse down a bit. The gunplay of the current game feels better because it's smoother and just has more work behind it, but I do miss the old recoil from the original game, right? Where it actually asked you to control your recoil pattern, just not pattern, but recoil to some degree. I have not. I guess we can find out. See if we can't go stealth kill someone. But no, in regards to this map, right? At this point, I am being asked a question. Do I want to go straight or do I want to go left up here, right? Each offer different kind of solutions or paths, right? I could come up here and go to the right, which is its own little path and like kind of being sneaky. I could just go guns blazing down the center. I could go to the left, kind of keeping the low road and go into like the loot container over here. Like each of these paths offer their own kind of gameplay. And it's not that different, but like it is a choice you have to make and they do affect the outcome of what you're doing, right? And where you end up to some degree. And Stairway doesn't have this. Like that's my point, right? Is like, even if I always come up here to the left-hand side, that's always how I approach the map, there is the question here being asked. And like, there are different ways and different things being provided to do that, right? There is this like loot area over here I never come to, right? There are like the rooms down here too, right? Like there is a question being asked there that never gets asked on Stairway. Maybe, maybe not. I don't mind the fact that it's like actually like a raid map too, right? It just like how Stairway is, right? This is a map doing a certain thing differently from the rest of the maps. I don't think Stairway does that really well, to be honest. But like, I like how this map feels essentially, right? Like it kind of harkens back to the old days of extraction shooters where it's just like a simple get in, get what you were trying to do done, and leave sort of map, right? Well, keep in mind, right, 45 ACP has been around for a very long time. 5.7 is a relatively newer round. I'm not sure if, like... I don't know how copyright and, like, patents work with calibers. So I can't really speak on this too much, but, like, there's certainly a degree because FN makes the 5.7mm guns, and they were mainly the only ones for the longest time. There wasn't a lot of volume of ammunition being made for it. At least for the public sector. So naturally, like, right, if you bought into a very expensive gun like the 5.7mm 5.7 or the P90, they've kind of gotcha, right? Are more generic manufacturers going to break into the market to make, you know, not all that much ammunition for the private sector? Oh, it is a license though, right? It's a license. Yeah, that's probably why too, I imagine, right? There has to be enough. If it's a license that they had, like, if they had to license the round from FN, yeah, I can see that there being a lot of tension there too, right? In a way, it could be benefit. It may have benefited FN for the very longest time to like make sure that they're the only procurers of the ammunition, right? And naturally, military contracts would be different, right? Military contracts are going to be their own production, probably, but still, the private sector. FN tax.
As
No,
long as I'm the
no.
last one standing.
I was being sneaky for so damn long. You can't do this to me. No. You don't see anything. Stop looking at me. Stop looking at me. Oh, cool, thanks. See, all you gotta do is ask, guys. All you gotta do is ask. They're very understanding. And why are you here? See? Perfect stealth run. And like that's a choice too, right, on the map ultimately, right? Like when you choose to be aggressive on Scrapyard, the whole map comes down on you to some extent, right? Almost. That doesn't really happen on Scrapyard. Like you can get a lot of aggro on Scrapyard, but it doesn't, or sorry, not on Stairway, but it doesn't feel the same. It doesn't feel like it has the same weight, right? I didn't do it, no, Ragey, unfortunately. I'm gonna definitely try to look for it, but actually we can do. There's a real good map to test this out on, actually. Europa. Gorillo, baby, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. How did you get here? Ba. Why aren't you going up more, you fiend? What do you want from me? You want guns? Do I even have that many guns? Not really. Oh, there we go. There we go. All right, SMG. Let's go over the Spectre. Yeah, it's like, it's a shame. I would actually say like the animations, they have been working on animations, and like the P90 actually looks pretty good. I will say that like the reload looks solid, the handling looks solid. Like the gunplay still isn't there for me, but like on like the actual polishing front, it looks pretty good. Like, I would say, like, it still looks a bit stiff here and there, but, like, it's definitely to the point where it's, like, on the higher levels of serviceable, for sure. And, like, the stiffness more comes from, I think, from the actual animations of the character themselves and not necessarily the arms themselves, right? It kind of feels like the body is stiff, but the hands are moving around. Okay, maybe not that much. There's no way we use this much ammunition on a shotgun with this. That's a pump. Alright, that works, whatever. Yeah, it's more about... I wouldn't be saying that, Michael, if it wasn't for every gun. Like, it's the same for every gun, is why I'm saying it, right? Are you... It feels like... the game is just throwing out all my expectations right now. Where my units be? I mean, it could be fair too, like they're on like they're halfway done with an overhaul of like spawns on Mesa. It definitely felt like the spawns on this particular map in general had a very unique system to them that might have been not ideal or archaic. And so they've kind of overhauled it or are overhauling it to make it feel much more natural. You call this your god? The god who walks into walls? It's the god of mine. He's just sleepy. I hear people, I don't see people. There you are. Oh god, snipers.
As long as I'm the last one standing.
I need to be very sneaky here. Ah, God, why? Sir, hold still. I need to stealth kill you. No, don't turn around. I said hold still, not turn around. Sir, there we go. Yeah. Have... Okay, so there's a general understanding in survival situations, right? When you need to ask yourself, is the amount of energy you're expending to gather food a net gain, right? Like, for example, if you're hunting a chicken, and say, for example, you spend 200 calories, just an example, not realistic values, 200 calories of work expending to, you know, hunt the chicken and gather the chicken, but the chicken only gives you 150 calories back. That is not a fight you should be taking. It's why, for example, that like predator animals are usually pretty picky and go after the weak enemies, because like they're not going to gain energy from going after and doing a full-fledged fight with a fully intact, you know, bull, if you will, right? They're going to go after the weak, the young, the easy, because they're easy meals that do not require a lot of energy. And my point being in the sense of, isn't this a little extra, masked man? Just a little extra. Just going a little too crazy in regards to like the expenditure of energy killing someone who gained you nothing back. I can't fault for the firing squads of Europans turning around to execute me after I stealth kill one of them when the stealth kill looks like that. Just like you do this whole elaborate animation of stealth killing and you turn around and it's just an entire European firing squad looking at you after the 5-second animation, and you're just like, well, I can't really fault them. This is to be expected at this point. I mean, considering scav girls too, they're both a bit extra. See? Firing squad! Firing squad! Fire! I can't fault them for this! they just see me going ham on their friend for like 5 fucking seconds in the open. It's literally a 5-second animation for a stealth kill in the open. And it's just, it's so excessive. It's so extra. It's cool, don't get me wrong, but it's just like, why? Here comes the rule of cool. It's the last words. You see like this giant, like, so Massman like executes this one character in front of a firing squad, and as the firing squad rolls up and like aims at him, he just like whispers beneath his breath, rule of cool, and then gets obliterated by a fucking firing squad. Oh god. It's a fucking top tier meme at this point. Hey Crowded. Oh god. That's so much. And I will say though, I mean, I'm sure the animator had a lot of fun doing that. It looks real fucking cool, don't get me wrong. Christopher Lee in regards to like, I know who Christopher Lee is and I know like a few stories about him, but like, oh yeah, I know that story, yeah. Christopher Lee, basically he was part of the SAS in World War II, and so like, when Christopher Lee was like, you know, Saruman, in Lord of the Rings and got stabbed, right, he's like, yeah, like, when you get stabbed, you don't make sound, just like all the air leaves your lungs. You just kind of gasp and there's no air there. And for those who play sports right, getting the breath knocked out of you fucking sucks so hard. Hey, Nasco. Like, if you ever got your shit rocked and, like, landed on your back and you just had all the breath leave you, it is a weird fucking feeling and it sucks. Oh, that's right, I can't leave through here. I used, wait, can I leave through here? I used the... That's right, it's the one behind the crawler and then the one on the upside bridge, yeah. Yeah, there's quite a few glitches around right now. There's like XP glitches, there's, yeah. And like, that's a nice thing too, I will say about solo games. It's like, there's no pressure on keeping up with the multiplayer experience to glitch. So like, if you want to glitch and like, or like cheat, yeah, that's your prerogative. Feel free, go ahead. You're not harming anyone. I've never been knocked out, so I'm happy about that. I've never blacked out or been knocked out, but I have had the breath knocked out of me before in sports, and it fucking sucks. But yeah, I've never been fully knocked out before. Actually, I will say I've been knocked out for my wisdom teeth, but that's it. And that is a surreal experience, I will say. Getting knocked out by anesthesia. That's been the only time. It is weird just like getting like just a black hole in your memory and then waking up and you're like being like, what the fuck's going on? Post-op pain wasn't bad. It was just more just I mean, there was like a kind of aching experience. The pain for wisdom teeth for me wasn't bad. It was just kind of just the overall vibe and just the weird feeling of having holes in your gums, along with just like your mouth being achy and sore and just having cotton swabs in them too to get up all the gut, like all that just It was just more like an icky experience as opposed to a painful one. It was just a period of being uncomfortable, really. Yeah, the cotton swabs in the mouth were just like, they were gross. But considering your mouth was like constantly salivating, like you just could not have them.
Another day. Ooh, another reason to stay alive.
No, why not both? I think what we see so far is ash, but it could be snow. It's that's the beautiful thing. It can be either, right? I personally think that the white stuff we see is ash, but it could be snow too. It could be both, yeah. So the container that the codex will spawn in is going to be this giant box that usually spawns on the leg. If you bring a tac cam, just scan for a rectangular box after the exo dies or whatever unit you kill dies. Not the exo will be a container. Look for a box. Usually it will spawn in its leg for the medium mechs. For units like the grabbers, it can sometimes glitch out and spawn underneath or above the map in certain areas. So just bring a tac cam and you'll see it. It should be close to where you kill the unit at. And you will need a drill, so don't forget the drill, by the way, too. You will need the drill to actually get into it. It will be a drillable object. TACAM is very cheap. TACAM is insanely cheap.
I hate this.
The biggest cost of the TACAM is the slot it takes up. Wait. No. No. Does anyone see a problem here? No. You can't do this. I'm busy. Stop shooting me.
Contact. Not anywhere.
The magical number, the magical number just can't be 3 for everything.
Don't miss. Make every shot count.
I mean, that's just, you know, split the middle, you know, not 1, not 6, but 3. The reload animation will always be 3 shells, and it will always reload the right amount of shells. I mean, it might be stock, I don't know. I mean, the problem here being is that, like, regardless of how many shells you've used or like have remaining in the gun, it reloads. The animation's always 3. Well, no, it's not even that. It's just like whenever you shoot the gun, or whenever you, like, so if I empty the gun out, right? It's got a magazine of 6. Even when I reload from here, it will reload 3, and it will reload the entire thing.
Whittle them down and we can break out.
And if I have, like, if I only shoot 1 shell, like, the animation's just always 3. So it's not like it's not an animation that has different states depending on how many shells you have. It's just an animation of like, hey, you know, play this to reload shotgun. I mean, no, it's all fine and fair until you realize that, you know, we're reloading 3 shells when we shoot 1. Probably old man. I mean, Masked Man's pretty, like, human too, right? Again, you can't see underneath the mask, but, like, old man's pretty human. Except for his arm. All right. Oh god, grenade launcher. Hold on, I got this, guys. Sir, that's a floor. All right. Yeah, we get close. I've been very busy recently with IRL stuff, so like a lot of stuff's been in the back burner for a bit. Though I should be getting to the tail end of that soon. Knock on wood. Hopefully it ends soon, and I'll have ideas of the future. But yeah, we'll see. First and foremost is IRL stuff. IRL stuff pays the bills. You know, man. That's a gentle trend, just to chill Discord. Mike. I think planning for such eventuality, Michael, is foolhardy. I haven't watched it, Cronin, to be perfectly quite honest. I've said this before. When I do content or play a certain game, I have this natural tendency to avoid the fuck out of content for that game. So like I'm very bad at keeping up to date with other creators' videos. Sky Cave, yes, I understand it's a weird kind of like inflection, but like it's in a way I do it with my D&D game too, right? I kind of actively avoid D&D content just because there's like, I think there's an innate fear, right, where like I don't want to be derivative. And like the one exception I did make was like doing the research for the actual world video, where I did sit down and watch Rillo's videos and Critical Rocket's videos and all the other materials. Like I knew that was like first-hand experiences, but like that breaks the norm too. No, you're good. Like, it's a perfectly fair question though too, right? And like, for those who are more familiar with the D&D space, I have had like situations, right, where, for example, like a few of my players will reference stuff I do as like in comparison to Critical Role, in the sense of like, oh yeah, like, did you get this from Critical Role? It's like, I don't watch that, so like I knew that like my experience wasn't based upon me watching some other content and just ripping it off, right? And naturally, humans will always have that tendency to, right? Like, there's a... Actually, like, unique human thought does not pop up all that often. There's always going to be patterns and flows, right? Where... I don't want to say the term groupthink, but, like, yeah, convergent, right? Where, like, people will arrive at similar solutions to problems or scenarios from different perspectives. Yeah, like, I am very thankful to have, like, a group of players I've been playing with for multiple years now, and, like, if a campaign falls apart, we'll just make a new one. At this point, we're all so comfortable with each other where it's like, it's not about, this is like the campaign, it's about the group. Isn't this cool? We can go, we can jump over here, and then we can't do anything because it leads to nowhere. God, it's so cool. Jump puzzles. I have not, Michael. How do I get back though? That's a way now. For sure, Bill Nye. And it's also important too, just like,
I think they spotted us.
there's a vibe element too, but it's also like a, I want to say like a maturity element. There's a lot of like, a lot of people for some reason think that you need to perfectly get along with other people to mesh with them. You can accept people for, you know, not having the same opinion as yours and that being okay. And naturally there's always lines to that too, right? But like, in my group, there's people of different opinions, right? And that's okay.
Another day, oh, another dollar.
Like, no one's going to get upset. Like, and we're all mature enough too, where like, if someone is upset, it gets brought up and we talk about it, right? And we figure out what the solution is and move on. In a way, like, if you're afraid of confrontation, that's honestly worse than being confrontational, right? Like, letting something stew is way worse, and people who are, we all do it too, right? Like when I was younger, also, like, you don't want to be the one causing that confrontation, and so like letting it stew just has it boil over at a certain point, and it's just worse overall. And it's not about being blunt, it's just about being, like, it's not about just being blunt, it's more just about being, like, forward, and just, like, making sure everywhere, like, everyone understands where you're coming from, in a sense of, like, what kind of caused the situation to arise. How long is the war going on in regards to this? I mean, the Steam page says 40 years. Yeah, Skycube, that's, I mean, that's perfectly fair too, right? But like, if you're in a D&D group, for example, right, where you're gonna see these people like every week, like, there's only, like, if you bite your tongue too many times, it kind of just builds up to this kind of this boiling point, and it lets everything out at once, right? And so you just kind of, by making sure you bring up things when they come up, in like in a constructive way, not emotional way, like it's emotional, right? You try and be objective about it, right? But like making sure you pull the release valve on the pressure before it builds up too much is very important. Meanwhile, firing squad off in the distance. It reminds me of, what's it called? It reminds me of Suicide Squad 2. And you can critique the movie all you want, but the intro for Suicide Squad 2, spoiler alert, essentially it has the Suicide Squad of like all of these really kind of mediocre anti-heroes or villains go up against just a conventional army. And like you had Nathan Fillion playing the detachable arm man, whatever it's called, and like he does this thing right where he detaches his arms and he goes like and starts beating some soldiers up, and the soldiers just turn on him and firing squad him, and that's exactly how it feels like. Hey, cyborgs. No. Leave me alone. I mean, there's a reason why he's not in a lot of movies, right? He does not have like, a very diverse range. And there's plenty of actors like that, right? You get typecast. And that's perfectly fair.
Looks like we're old snake eyes.
I mean, I think there's Stealth E, but they're solar-powered cyborg bombers, essentially. I mean, I mainly know him from Firefly. No, come back. Let me stealth kill you. There we go. Don't mind me, Mr. Cyborg, I'm busy. All right, well. How's it going there? You shoot me an email, Cronin. I haven't looked at it in a while because I've been busy, but yeah, just shoot me an email. Favorite faction, it's probably Europa. I always like the straight man. Very curious. Mason. What do the numbers mean, Mason? It would be kind of cool if you could like find ammo crates around as a large item slot. know. Like a small map, I imagine. That and they were probably like making sure that like they were trying to make sure the extractions felt like actually kind of tense, right?
Where to rush?
Oh no, for this, I mean, for this particular spawn graveyard, you only have one. Imagine we can use machine guns. And gunhead. If you mean HMGs, that's one thing, right? But like, Massman can use M60s. Now, I mean, do we have the 308? I mean, we're kind of close to 308. We're a decent amount of 308. No, we can. You can use all LMGs. You have to unlock them via the character screen here with LMG training. Like, it's part of the skill tree, but yeah, LMG training for Masked Man. And then you have Gunhead too. So, like, you have 3 characters you can use LMGs. You have Masked Man, Gunhead, and Bagman. Yeah, the only gun that Masked Man can't use is HMGs. He's like literally the weapon jack of all trades for the most part. Now, I'm not sure I really love the M60, but we'll rock it, why not? Let's do a fighty map. Let's fight a lot. Let's go guns blazing on staircase. Yeah, Captain, the anti-material rifles are a bit weird.
I hate the surface.
It would be nice. Like, it's so low on the priority list, but like, yeah, a melee system along with like the bayonets would be really cool. I mean, the fire particles could use some work. Hold on, reloading. Yeah, correct, Michael. Cemetery.
Eyes on us. Spread out.
Ah, fucking snipers.
Where?
Up the staircase we go. Oh cool, a side room. Let's go explore this side room and see what all it offers. I'm so excited about this side room. The little balcony. Yeah, and a little wall. We have a dark space. And we got some debris and some trash. And that's the side room. Can I go around? That's certainly death. We know that to be certainly death. Wait, can I even go up there? I can't even go up one extra floor. There's an invisible wall. I've been bamboozled. Maybe the other skyscraper on the other side's got some stuff going on. Oh cool, maybe that we can walk across that to the other skyscraper. Enough, maybe from inside the room? That'd be cool. Going across the hands. Hey, what the hell was this? See, they're trying to stop me from exploring the map. All right, so we have our side room here. We got our floor. And that's it. Is there can we jump to the hands? We cannot jump to the hands from here. Actually, hold on. Can I even get through here? I can't even. I feel like if I jump straight forward, I'm going to mantle and die. Oh no, we can't even mantle through here. Okay, never mind. I don't even have the agency to kill myself. God damn it. I'm being facetious, Cronin. Sorry. I'm being very facetious right now. Oh cool, another side room. I mean, if you accidentally spawn on the wrong side of the map, you have times that extracts, but no, cemetery only ever has pipes. Alright, another side room. Ooh, container. Reward for exploration. I feel adequately... Wait, invisible wall? What the hell is this? Anyway, I can't even... I feel rewarded for exploring. I feel rewarded for exploring now. I've gotten some extra loot. I mean, Bill, I'm being facetious, but also, like, we have yet to see any in-progress maps. Even Mech Trench, for example, went from being in progress to complete. Like, we have yet to see an instance where they've actually added to a map. I'll be happy when that becomes the case, but I'm not gonna assume something until we actually see an instance of it, right? And no map thus far has gotten any extra, like, actual map area yet. But, like, no, once they, like, if they actually show us that they're willing to add or expand maps, I will be like, yeah, you know, sure, all right. But I need to see at least the first instance of that. That's essentially it, right, Bal? It doesn't ask you any questions on what you want to do. It just, like, it doesn't reward you for exploring. Like, It's just, it's the line. It's a really cool looking line, but it's a line. And like, and the point with Scrapyard, right, in contrast to Scrapyard, is Scrapyard is a line also, but it's not, it offers you some branching paths in that straight line, despite it ultimately being like, not a very in-depth straight, like, there's a lot more nuance to Scrapyard than there is to this map. Yeah, I mean, technically speaking, yeah, I'm a hater. I mean, I made a feedback post credit on the Discord in regards to like how I think having the time, like, it's a mistake having a material costing, or this is a single player game slash co-op multiplayer game. You're not trying to slow down progress, or you're not trying to keep player retention. You're not trying for a lot of things, right? It just, there doesn't seem to be a lot of purpose or reason behind the long crafting times with the railgun, right? And it could be incomplete, it could just be placeholder, but like, the actual effort to program in 3, 4, 5 hours crafting times for those components just feels really weird. And it kind of leans the game into this weird headspace area where it's like, are you trying to be a mobile game, or are you trying to emulate Tarkov? Because the reason why Tarkov has crafting times is to slow down progression and to give you choice in regards to what you're crafting. Like, say for example in Tarkov, right? If 2 recipes, like, in a way the crafting time in Tarkov is a resource, right? Say for example, if you can have really good tier ammo that takes 2 hours to make, or kind of almost as good but not as good ammo that takes an hour to make, right? The choice of, do I make the better ammo and wait for longer, or do I get the cheaper ammo and get it quicker, is an actual choice there, right? That has implications in PvP. But like here, there's not really any choice in that, right? It's just an arbitrary wait time. It's a setting only, but like, if it's just a setting only, why not make it 30 seconds, right? Why actually make it 3, 4, and 5 hours? Like, the cryo ammo was one thing, right, with 30 seconds, but like the actual length of this feels deliberate, which is why I raised the critique of it, right? In a sense of just, and it was like, it's less of a critique, but like more in the sense of like, make sure when you're including these like systems in the game, ask why you want them to exist, right? What purpose are they kind of serving? Because I don't really see the purpose of it existing. Maybe just an overhaul, perhaps? I don't know. I can't say. They might be redoing the model for it, perhaps, Cronin. Right now, like, it could just be, yeah, redoing the model for it, perhaps. All right. You know, we haven't done a high noon run recently. Come on, show me plug pull. I think everyone deep down wants new units. Show me plug pull. Here we go.
Don't leave anything on the cutting room floor.
I think Mario, the biggest problem for me in regards to just the crafting times, it doesn't have anything grounding it, right? Like, for example, I'm not saying, when I say this, for example, I do not mean we should go back to the old water system. But say, for example, like, you have your crafting station, right? And it can only produce a certain good at a certain time, and it takes time to do that, right? When you have the IRL water drain, there is that opportunity cost slash unrealized cost of the drain of water while you're making that, right? So say, for example, if, you know, just for sake of convenience, right, your railgun parts take a day to craft. And so it's not only about the crafting time, it's about the water drain, right? In the sense of each of these railgun parts cost the resources they cost to make, but they also consume a day's worth of production in regards to water, right? And then there's also the opportunity cost of those, right, in regards to other materials they can craft. And it helps kind of ground and create an unrealized cost in the system. Now, I still don't think it should be an IRL timer, because why make the player wait? But like having, you know, having kind of those unrealized costs and opportunity costs in the system are important, I feel like. Because they help kind of ground the whole crafting system. It's like, I use IRL water because it's an easy example, but I don't think that's like you need to do that though, right? You can have static systems that still do the same exact thing.
I've been waiting for this.
Go, cyborgs, go! Sir? Sir?
Dance time.
There we go.
Enemy contact.
Man, it is literally feast or famine with this thing. It's either you get a headshot or you just suffer. I mean, I imagine they're working on it too, right? But like, the biggest part is just the change in view side from left to right, right to left. Yeah, as long as you get headshots, this thing smacks. It's just when you don't, it definitely reminds you how weak it is. Michael, rule of cool. Checkmate. It's not fun when you get done to it, right? You see, some people are still stuck in the ways of water and skins and that guy. We're the true progressives here. We're not talking about that. We're talking about rule of cool now. The people who are about that guy and this guy and you're not that guy, they're stuck in the past. We're looking to the future. We're looking to the rule of cool future.
Looks like we
Where instead of chanting that guy or this guy on Steam forums, we're chanting now rule of cool. And it's gonna take like only like a month for it to get utterly obnoxious.
The best, but not the worst.
Probably not even that. We're gonna beat it like a dead horse.
Not enough ammo.
No, Nelsh, we're not about that guy or this guy. We're about rule of cool. You must get with the times. See, that guy's and this guy's that's the past. We're about the future here. Balu. I have no idea how, if they do post on the Discord, or they like on the big Discord and say like, yeah, like we look at feedback, give us feedback, but like there's no way they watch me. They might watch my content, they don't watch my live streams. I am way too critical of my live streams. I feel like they would have tuned out ages ago. They're like, oh no, here comes the 50th size or stairway rant. I mean, it's chill, but I do come off pretty critical sometimes, and I do realize that. Laser shark cyborgs. I mean, if you're looking to evoke some terror and dread, aquatic units are a very easy way of doing that. Nothing will mentally fuck up a player harder than telling the player that there's units in the water that they can't see. Like the water in Half-Life 1 changes immediately when they introduce the shark, right? Like you go from, oh, this is an interesting obstacle, to, oh shit, I don't want to go in the water anymore. And it's not like, and the rest of the water sections, right, in the game after you see the shark, it's not really a shark, but I'm calling it shark, right, in Half-Life 1. Like, all of the water sections after that now raise the question of, is there a shark in there? And you don't always know. And in a way, like, it's abusing the imagination of the player, right? And that's great. It's literally using you as your own worst enemy. Yeah, I'm not gonna try to pronounce that. Can't even say Bethesda right. Bethesda. There we go, Bethesda. Can't even say Bethesda right. English is hard. For those unfamiliar, when you spawn at the elevator, the extract is like here, but when you spawn at the other way, the extract's all the way down here. How far can I go, by the way? Oh, it's the latest. Okay, that makes sense. It's a stairway down, or a stairway. That's the elevator down. I said everything but the right word. It's a ladder down. My God.
Close call. A day of close calls.
I have not. I haven't really scrutinized the new skins, so. Hypax group. Yeah, okay, nice. That's definitely, I think that's a direct just rip off the units. It's not a new symbol, it's just a direct rip, I think. Yeah, you see it. I see side brain. I think it may just be a direct rip though. I don't think they're based in LA. I think they're a remote office mainly. Like they're not all in one office. Second, I think they're incorporated in Washington. All right. We'll use the Scar today, actually. Let's use the Scar. Scar's always been great. All right, we have our Scar. This works. The Scar H is a bit of rule of cool. It probably requires some balancing though too. Some of the magazines don't make a lot of sense. I actually think the 50 BMG Scar makes a ton of fucking sense. When you're starting to deal with like giant armor machines and war machines and like mechs and orgamechs and all that stuff from the other factions, having your primary infantry rifle being something that can damage all of those is very important, it feels like. And remember, like 50 BMG is like the first round where you really get actually like a decent payload as part of the projectile, right? Now, I think the gun is still a bit too small. Like it should be bulky and weird and like it should be rough. I think it's a bit too user-friendly right now in regards to how it handles. But like, I think it makes a lot of sense when your whole goal is like mass infantry. You want those infantry to be able to damage big things.
I'm the last one standing.
Yeah, I think as long as you have it equipped correctly, I think it doesn't go off now when you change characters. So as long as you have it equipped in your, like, I think offhand slot or second hand slot, it doesn't get removed. Yeah, like it's a lot of different factors too, right? Like, yeah, the smaller barrels on this thing would just get destroyed after a few rounds. Not a few rounds, but like they would wear out very quickly, right? But considering too, like, they're not. All of the, I mean, naturally it's stylized too, considering it's a video game, but like, all of the fights are fairly CQB, right? You really do not need that much accuracy on a gun like this. It's much more just about the actual, just heft of the gun. The VKS doesn't exist in the game. Just ignore the fact that it exists and you'll just help yourself out so much. I still think the tracers are comically sized, but it is what it is. Let me rephrase. The tracers are comically sized. It's not, like, it's not my feeling, but they are just too large for 50 BMG. They are lol sized. Hold on. Will you die when I shoot you, please? Alright, citizens, civilians. I would like to remind you, the way out is to the right. If you head farther into the complex, I will assume you are a cyborg. You have chosen life. You have chosen life. Ah. Nope. Cyborg.
Break out.
Come on, come on. What more do you need to see? What better proof do you need to see? Alcohol, cyborg components. You think I was joking around? I don't joke around in this fucking chat. We're about sussing out cyborg imposters. It's not literally that sky cave. What they probably had like a base cyborg blueprint that they used as a basis for their civilians, and the default loot pool for those are just the same. But Michael, I have clear proof of evidence of my chain of custody of that thing. There's video evidence of me collecting those items.
We can break out.
Those guys didn't have any proof. This is Nexus, yes. It's very quiet in Nexus. No, sorry.
Raining bullets.
I didn't realize there was guys with guns here. Yeah, look at this Michael guy in chat. Cyborg sympathizer in chat right here. Get out of here. Hold on.
Eyes on us. Spread out.
Who are you gonna believe is not a cyborg? The guy murdering cyborgs, the guy who says he's not a cyborg, but has no evidence of him killing a cyborg. See? Would a cyborg really do that? That's what I'm saying, Blood Panda.
This is it. We decide what happens next.
Ugh. I imagine Blood should be feeling pretty offended right now. You just compared Rat King to Asmongold. I feel like that's a fair statement, Game Shift.
Fill those pockets quick.
Despite me preferring Europa, I would kind of be interested in seeing Yaruska win, just because I would want to see how they deal with the future. Because it does seem like Yaruska will like mold their units to the future, which seems interesting to me. Like, despite me like leaning European, I do think Yaruska winning would be really interesting.
Getting there.
All right. That's it for today, everyone. Thanks for watching. I'll be back on Friday for regular stream. I will see you guys after that next week. New video is still not in the works yet. I'll probably start working on it this week. It might be a while. I got some IRL stuff going on, but it'll be out eventually. But don't hold your breath. But yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys on Friday. Take it easy, and yeah, bye all.